There seems to be no let up in this rainfall, and it's rained now here in New South Wales for days on end. You can tell now that autumn is definitely on its way. As just look at the beautiful colour on the leaves of this Acer Baihu. And this has also got some lovely yellow stems. And they will show now right through the winter. Just look at that. Beautiful colour leaves on this plant. And there's also some flowers just coming on the centre of the Mahonia Soft Caress. I've got a few of these in the garden. These are evergreen and they give some lovely interest in the garden for 12 months of the year. Now I've got these scattered throughout different areas, and there's some more flowers there on that one. And these are a fantastic backbone to the garden, always adding interest. Such a beautiful plant. Now in the centre of the garden I've got the Mahonia Confuser, and there's no sign of any flowers on that one yet. There's been loads of growth on these Virginia red robins, and these now are probably 6 foot high. So it's lovely now edging the pathway, and I'm actually walking through the plants. Well, I've woken up this morning and there's still no let up in this rain, and I wanted to show you the Tetrapanax. Now I noticed this week that it's actually started to flower. Now this Tetrapanax is 3 years old, and it's the first time that it's actually flowered. It's quite a large plant now. Some of these leaves are well over 1 metre across, but I was really surprised in the week to see what was growing in the middle. So I'm going to get underneath these leaves and show you what I found. And just look at this, hiding right in the middle of the Tetrapanax. And this is the first time that this plant now is going to flower. So it'll be quite interesting to see what this turns into. It's quite an alien looking flower, and it looks like something from another planet. But I absolutely love this plant. Tetrapanax is just a fantastic addition, and it looks beautiful. And even Vim doesn't like to come out in this weather, so he's just come out now for a quick look around, and he'll be back in as quick as a flash. Hey Vim, the good boy you are. But it's certainly not the best of days today. And I'm hoping that this rain will clear up later on. and I can take you for a little look around the garden. So fingers crossed. Now it's 2 o'clock at the moment, and it's finally stopped raining enough for me to be able to take you around the garden and show you some of the autumn colour. Now, even though we're coming into the end of September, the purple and bloom salvia are still full of flowers. They are coming to the end now, but they give such beautiful autumn interest. And by standing next to this plant, you can actually see now just how tall this has grown. A beautiful plant, and I really do love the dark colour flowers on this. Lovely. Now I'm balancing on this wall to try and show you this plant here. And this is one of my favourite plants in the garden for the autumn. And this is a cotiness. I'm unsure what variety it is. I thought it was maybe a flame, but it doesn't go red. It's deciduous, so it does lose all of its leaves in the winter months. But during the autumn, these leaves will change colour, and they're beautiful leaves on this plant. It's grown quite good now. This was bought from the garden centre, and I had this for £5 because it wasn't looking very good at all. But it has bounced back. It's been in a few places in the garden, and it's been in this area here now for, I would say, about a year. And it's really rooted in well and become a lovely specimen. So if you do know what species of cotinus this is, let me know. Maybe it's a golden spirit. I'm unsure. So let me know in the comments. I'd love to know. Now this Phormium tenax in the corner is also really good for adding autumn interest and autumn colour into the garden, as it's variegated, and I think that behind the black wall it really helps that plant now just to stand out. And this has done extremely well also in the garden. And this just sits in the corner opposite my kitchen window, and I see this daily. And there is my polycarpa, and I moved that this year into a more sheltered location, and behind that I've got my trellis and my star jasmine, and that's definitely also getting taller. It's almost to the top now of the trellis. Wonderful. Now I've still got a few dahlias in the garden, but some of them aren't looking as good as they were. But keep on deadheading, as all of these flowers have still got a bit longer to go yet. Now this week is going to be something completely new, and it'll be the first time that I've ever tried editing a video on a laptop. So please be patient while I learn new skills, and I always use my phone just to take the videos, and I normally edit them too on my phone. But I thought I'd try something a little bit different this week. And so I thought I'd try editing on my laptop. So it's a new experience for me. The Tetrapanax just keeps on going upwards, and it's still growing, and it's still going tall. This is the tallest it's ever been. And the stems on this year have grown so thick. They've never been like this before. And just look at those in there. This plant has done extremely well this year, and I'm so pleased with the progress of it. Now the Dixonia Antarctica tree fern has done exceptionally well, and it's only been through one winter, and I found some footage the other day of how it looked when we first planted it, and you can just see how much and how well this has done now this season. And I know that the one thing that's enjoying all of this rainfall is definitely the ferns in the garden. Now I've got quite a few ferns dotted around underneath larger plants, and just moving along now to this side of the garden, you can see that they've really flourished now with all of this wet weather. I've got quite a few different varieties, and they are looking really good in the garden. And they're also tucked behind my wildlife pond. And it's been such a dry year, it's been quite difficult to keep these ferns going. But they're definitely loving all the rain. And there's also lots of ferns just placed underneath one of the tree ferns that I've got in the garden. And this is an ideal place for them, sheltered underneath the fronds. Now another plant that I absolutely adore for autumn interest and colour is the Nandina. And I couldn't count how many of these I've got in the garden. But they do grow to a good size. This one here is just a small example. But you can just see now that the colours are starting to turn. And it goes a lovely deep red in the autumn and winter months. There's a larger variety one there that you can see. And just look at that for lovely autumn interest. A beautiful plant. And there's a different type of Nandina that I've got growing in the underplanting, and this one is a heavenly bamboo. It's still evergreen, but it's got slightly different leaves on this one, but still beautiful. And I've also added in some cyclamen into some pots, just to add a little bit of autumn colour. And I've also put a few into the garden. And I've just dotted a few about in the garden, and these were the ones that we bought in Pontedilais Garden Centre. And they do just add a little bit of colour into the borders at this time of year. And a little bit more cyclamen just added into the Belfast sink. They are looking a bit wet at the moment, but I'm sure they'll come. And everything now is looking wonderful and green in the garden. And just walking up the path, it's a joy to see all of the plants that have done really well this season. Hello, Vim. Having a good scratch, you? He always likes to be star of the show. New boy. And the verbena that I planted in the flower beds is doing really well. And that's still in full flower. And this is the verbena bonariensis. And I'm loving that for a pop of purple into the garden at this time of year. And so it's Saturday now and the weather just hasn't got any better here in South Wales. I've been at work today, so I've come home now late this afternoon and I wanted to get a few jobs done in the garden, but I don't think that's going to happen. So there'll be no tidying up of the borders and no raking up of the borders, and I wanted to do a little bit of weeding as well, but it's just too wet. So let me just show you some of my favourite plants for brightening up the autumn borders. So this plant here is ideal just for adding a little bit of brightness into the border, and I love a phormium in the garden, and this is a phormium yellow wave. I've got a few of these and they do look nice just dotted in underneath other plants here, and it just adds 12 months of interest, and they do grow to a decent size too. There is also another example of a phormium yellow wave right in the centre of the garden, and that's right next door to the Soberia sem, and that plant is still holding on to its leaves. I know it's deciduous, but they're still a beautiful chocolate brown colour. But one thing that isn't looking so good at the moment is the rudbeckia. Now these have been a bit blown about in the high winds, but they're still flowering and they're still adding quite a bit of colour. And the bargain tree fern that Tony and myself bought last week, that really does seem to have settled in now. It's still only got its 3 fronds, but it's going to do better next year. But the trunk is looking in a lot better condition than it was last week. It was so dry, but all this rainfall has really done it good. And this has been just put in the ground to about 3 inches, and I've used some wooden stakes just to prop it up. And so far so good. And just looking into one of the borders there, you'll see that this year the Fargesia robusta Campbell is still growing strong. This hasn't been in the ground for very long, but it has turned out, if I just go back slightly for you, to be a wonderful plant. Now I had to move this a few months ago, but this has got the beautiful stripy stems, and it has grown into a particularly lovely plant, but it is quite dwarfed by these fantastic Arundodontax and the miscanthus grass there, the variegated type, and it's loving this rainfall at the moment, which I certainly am not. So maybe tomorrow the sun will come out and this rain will dry up a little bit. And if there's one thing that I've got to be getting on with, is tidying up after these roses. And you don't normally see a mess like this in the garden, but all these petals have got to be brushed up, as I think the roses now finally coming to the end. But they have been beautiful this year. So thank you so much for joining me today in the garden. And if you like gardening videos like this one and you enjoy taking a look around, then why not consider subscribing to Gone Tropical? It's completely free to subscribe. It won't cost you anything and it'll help me out loads. And so until next time, I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.